Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Thanks for watching. This is pre-recorded. So thank you once again. I'm Dave Guerra. This is Let's Have a Chat About Leadership 4. That's right. The last day of April, April 30th, 2020. And how are you? So it's Thursdays. And what do we do on Thursdays? We talk about lessons in leadership. So here we go. Tonight's lessons in leadership, or this episode's lesson in leadership is knowing when to quit. Knowing when to quit. And, well, let me cut to the chase. You never actually quit. You don't quit. You don't quit. It's like, well, then how do you know when to quit? No. You need to learn to know when you need to shift, when you need to adapt, when you need to adjust, when you need to move over a little bit, adjust your bearings, reset your course, change course, in some cases change course, but you're never actually quitting, because if you're starting something and you're committing to something, you can't quit, but you do have to make an adjustment for it. And so, again, that is tonight's topic. And in saying that, we need to realize that, sure, there's going to be times where we have to quit. We have no choice. It's gone too far, too long. It's become a unsustainable, unwinnable, ungainable situation. And you know you have to just stop, step back, step away, live to fight another day. And that's where that comes from. Live to fight another day. Because remember, you might lose the battle, but you don't have to lose the war. Okay? You lose the battle, but you don't have to lose the war. Now, so again, let's do this. How do you adjust? How do you know when is time? Well, one of those things, or actually two of those things, is time and experience. Those two together will let you know when it's time to walk away, when it's time to shift your approach, change an approach, adapt, adjust, modify, and keep moving. And that's fine. It does take time, and when is it? You'll know it. You'll know it. You've experienced enough in your life, whether you're just starting out in business or you're succeeding and you're moving on, and then you just keep encountering these things over and over again. Periodically, things will pop up in your life, and you start learning how to deal with them and how to adjust to them and how to cut them out. Because you have to cut away the unimportant. You're focused on your mission. You're focused on your vision. You're trying to accomplish, and if people are just pulling you down, if you're in bullying situation, if you're in a situation where it's not being productive, it's not moving forward, it's actually just dragging down, then you know what? It's time to cut away the unimportant, because sometimes the unimportant is all that's stopping you. And when you recognize and you cut it, then guess what? That frees you up to develop, to adjust, to grow, to shift, to adapt, to overcome. So cut away that. Now, also, as you're doing that, you're also going to realize that, hey, maybe you not just have the unimportant, but you're also creating those things that limit your productivity. You're creating these pit stops. And in creating those pit stops, it starts to slow you down. And you start to realize, wait a minute, I'm either doing this to myself and now I'm not growing. I need to stop, walk away, and I quit because I keep hitting way too many pit stops. Yes, it comes from lack of focus, lack of discipline. And again, that comes with time, that comes with experience, and most of all, that comes with commitment. You're committed to succeed, you want to do something, then definitely you're going to remove those pit stops. You're going to remove those things that limit your productivity. And then ultimately, those things were stopping you. Well, guess what? You also have to, at some point, start creating barriers. You have to start creating barriers. And the barriers are the major one. I guess the biggest barrier that you have to learn how to create is how to say no. No more. No mas. That's it. Nix. Nine. Nothing's going to happen. Niet. And that barrier, that no, is a powerful two-letter word. It's powerful. It's huge. But because it is so powerful, people recognize it. And those people that don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, don't want to step on people's toes, that don't want to basically progress and would rather quit than continue and adjust and say no and move around the problem and keep going forward. Folks, it happens. It happens more often than you can imagine. It's probably happening to you right now. It happens to me. It's happening to me. It will continue to happen to me. Why? Because I'm a human being. You're a human being. And we have to learn to say no. Of course, there's going to be times where we have no choice to say yes. But you know what? Sometimes we have to say no. And sometimes we have to say no to the closest people that in our lives. Just like we have to learn to say no to a total stranger, just like we have to learn to say no to the guy that's got his hand out and he's asking for money. He's asking Like, no, sorry, cannot do that, cannot help you. And create those barriers, and you'll see how your life changes, and how your mission changes, and how your vision changes, and how you're not quitting, you're just shifting, you're adjusting, you're adapting, you're moving on, you're modifying, you're continuing to grow, and that's part of growing. And as part of growing, we have to start learning how to set some standards. And setting those standards, which includes saying no. And we know who we're going to say no to. And we also going to know who we're going to open a door to let into our lives, and who we're not going to. And in some cases, we also have to show them the way out. Show them where the door is on their way out. Because, again, if they're not... I should rephrase this. If all they're doing is just hindering you by not supporting you, by mocking what you're doing, by making, taking a different approach, countering what you're trying to do, countering your vision, countering your mission, and they're just there to slow you down, to counter it, to push you back, to tell you to your face, who do you think you are? To ridicule you because you've decided to change your life, you've decided to change your future, and they're not there to help, they're not there to encourage, they're not there to support. Doesn't mean that they have to hand you money, it doesn't mean that they have to constantly say, good job, but you know what? It does mean that they're not constantly putting you down, putting you under their thumb. So set those standards and say, these are the standards, and if you cannot adhere to my standards and respect my standards, you're in the way. You're in the way. And folks, that's not quitting. That's adjusting, that's shifting, that's adapting, that's modifying, that is growing. So leaders know when to quit, but after they've tried everything else, after they've tried shifting, after they've tried going around, after they've tried adapting, after they've tried cutting away the unimportant, removing those pit stops, creating barriers and setting standards and keeping standards, and yet there's those that want to continue to push those buttons, well, then they shouldn't be surprised when they find themselves by themselves. You, as the leader, are not worried about that. You're worried about taking you, your team, everyone to support you along for the ride. And along the way, you're going to make new leaders from those members of your team. You're going to make new leaders from those that follow you, because they're going to see what you're doing, and they're going to want to emulate that, and they're going to want to succeed and exceed that. Succeed and exceed. And that is your job as a leader. And if you're not doing that to others, if you're not doing that to the people that you're supposed to be leading, then you're not a leader. You're not even a bad manager. Folks, there is a problem. You know it, I know it, we know it. There's a problem with leadership. And we have to fix it. And we together, you and I and all of us together, we're going to fix it. But it's recognizing that we have that problem in leadership. And once we recognize that problem, then we can start working on fixing it. And so on that, I leave you folks something to think about. Listen, I'm Dave Guerra. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I will talk to you on Friday as we close out the work week. Take care. Thanks a lot.